Hello and welcome to the Curiosity and Consciousness podcast. The intention of this podcast is to open your mind, get curious about yourself and connect to the power you hold within. I am your host, Karen Maloney, an inside-out coach, helping you to believe in yourself and manifest your desires. Check out the podcast, available on all platforms, and go to my website, www.karenmaloney.com for all info. Welcome everybody. It is my first guest of 2023. So excited to bring this conversation to you. And I think it's a really powerful and important conversation for always, but especially with starting a new year as well. And if you really take on board with what Krystyna is sharing and talking about, it will make a massive difference in your life. So joining me today is Krystyna Lennon, who is a world-renowned hypnotist, television personality, author, keynote speaker and media source. In 2015, Krystyna, a single parent, decided that to demonstrate her skills to others and boost her business, she first needed to challenge herself to tackle her own limiting belief of, "I can't speak on stage," a fear first created at school assembly. Already qualified in hypnotherapy, she decided to become a stage hypnotist with one aim: speaking and performing in front of as many people as possible. She used her delete method to overcome her fears, elevate her self-image, and program her mind for success. Armed with the killer USP, Hypnodog, Krystyna managed to book 6 shows and drum up media and TV interest before she'd even learned the craft. Krystyna's first performance was filmed by a press agency, the second performance was filmed by German TV, and third performance was for Britain's Got Talent in front of 1,500 people and viewed by 11 million when it aired and a further 30 million online. Since then, Krystyna has appeared on over 45 TV shows worldwide, including China, Russia and America, and she has earned the title the world's best hypnotist and has hypnotized celebrities including Simon Cowell, Drew Barrymore, James Corden, Anton Deck and Loose Women. She retired from the stage in early 2020 after filming Romania's Got Talent, and now she focuses on her passion, which is helping individuals and teams overcome anxieties and overthinking and fast-track their success. And yeah, like I mentioned, what an incredible and empowering conversation to start the year with, reminding us of the power of our mind, the power we hold over ourselves to change our limiting beliefs, to change our self-image, to change what's holding us back. And that's exactly what Krystyna shares in this episode. She talks about her own personal journey, how she moved through her own limiting belief of speaking in front of people, and how that all of that helped her to get to the level of success that she experienced. She talks about how our thoughts are habitual, not our behaviours. She talks about her delete method and also how our self-image and how we talk to ourselves is so important. Lots in this episode. Again, super empowering. If you wish to take the information and apply it to your own life and the tips that Krystyna shares, you will experience a shift. And if you would like to connect with Krystyna online, her website is KrystynaLennon.co.uk, and Krystyna is spelled Krystyna, KrystynaLennon.co.uk. But as always, I will have links to her website and all her socials on my website, karenmaloney.com, and click the podcast section. Enjoy! Welcome everybody, and thanks for joining for another episode, and thank you Krystyna Lennon for joining as well today. I'm really excited to connect, so thank you for being here today, first of all.
Thank you for inviting me. Excited.
I know, and before I introduce you, we heard a bit on your bio there as well, but maybe if you give us a little introduction to yourself and some of your journey and what's brought you to your work today.
I'm a psychotherapist, a hypnotherapist, and I went on a little journey of my own. I was scared to sort of speak on stages or in front of people. And I thought, what use is that when I'm supposed to be helping other people overcome
Mm.
anxieties and limiting beliefs? So I decided, as I say, to go on a little journey of my own, used my own therapy for myself, and was able to get rid of my anxieties about speaking. And I went on to be a stage hypnotist and earned myself the name the world's best hypnotist in that
Yeah.
time.
You probably could never have expected what would happen at that time, but it's just a sign of what's possible when we really do remove our own limitations and blocks and move through our own fears and anxieties. And I know that's what you help a lot of people with now as well.
Yeah.
And just first of all, even touching on what had to happen first for you in that process to even begin that inner work and moving through your blocks.
I think my back was against the wall, so to speak, financially.
Mm.
I was working as a rep. I was doing hypnotherapy on the side, and I never quite fulfilled my dreams. So when I found out I was losing my job, it was an opportunity for me to change direction. So having had done hypnotherapy and having clients, just a couple of week charging sort of 30, 40, 50 pounds per
Mm.
client back in the day, I never saw being a hypnotherapist as like a full-time job or that
Yeah.
it'd be able to support me. But when I lost my job, I decided to go into it fully. And it was the fact that just my back was against the wall. I
Mm.
had to make money. I had no choice.
Yeah. And, that's a powerful motivator as well at times, but you
Yes.
still decided to take that action as well and do the work. And, mindset as well is so important in that aspect. So, even just to talk about the power of our mind as well and just share a little on the importance of it and our mindset.
It's hugely important. There's no way, looking back then, it was 2015 I started my journey, and I did a lot of hypnosis on myself, lots of sort of processes on myself to upgrade my image, my self image,
Mm.
which was most important. Some people saw me as a certain person, but I didn't see myself in that way. So I had to start changing the story that I'd already sort of created about myself. I had to rewrite the script.
Mm.
And it's not something that happens overnight, it's a
Yeah.
work in progress. And as I've gone up levels every few years, I've had to rewrite lots and lots of scripts and stories and beliefs about myself.
Yes. And that's so important. And even just what are limiting beliefs and how could a person know if they have some limiting beliefs?
It's just when you find yourself saying things like, I can't, that's not me, I'm not the kind of person that could do that. And they were all the kinds of things that I was saying
Mhm.
about being a stage hypnotist, because I'd found out I was losing my job. I spoke to a good friend of mine who was he was a retired stage hypnotist. And he said to me, you need to take over my show. And financially, it was a great idea. He used to earn good money. It was popular. The show was already written for me. And it was just like a no brainer
Yeah.
idea. And it would get me lots of clients. But my first response was, what? No way. Not me. No, I'm not the
Yeah.
kind of person that can stand up there in front of people. That kind of thing doesn't work for me. And I just had all this internal dialogue saying that, I wasn't enough in some way to do that. And that's when I realized I need to work on this, because how can I help other people overcome those kind of thoughts when I have them about myself?
I know. And that's exactly it. And I mean, it's so common. Everyone does, in some way, shape, or form, have elements where we don't believe in ourselves. We don't think we're good enough. We go against
Mhm.
ourselves. We talk ourselves out of things, just like you said, oh, I could never do that. And that's never the truth. But it takes us to decide something different. And like you mentioned there as well, you upgraded your self image, how you saw yourself.
Mhm.
And, that reprogramming doesn't happen overnight. But what were the steps that you took in order to help you to change how you saw yourself?
So the first step on any self-development journey is always self-awareness, being aware of what you're saying, how you feel about something. There's so many labels: introvert, extrovert, empath. People give themselves these silly labels and then live up to those labels. And it's about thinking, when you hear that pattern of behavior, I can't do this, or just immediately disqualifying yourself for something. It's that being aware of it is the first step, and then regulating it. So once I was aware, as soon as my friend, as I say, said, "Oh, you should do my show," and I was like, no way, I can't do that. It was like, okay, there was an awareness at a deeper level. I'd said it so many times, but at that point, he sort of said something to me that made me step back and just think, right, can I do something about this? Yes, I could. I thought about it logically, and I thought, I can hold a microphone, I can speak, I can say the words that he says, I can stand in the position that he stands in. So why can't I do it? There's no reason why I can't do it. And thinking about it like that, can I actually say the words that he says in the way he's saying them? Yes, then I can do it. The rest is all just getting my head into the space where I believe it.
And that's the real work.
That is the real work. And
yeah.
I mean, I work in a way where I work out what people's scripts are, what they're saying to themselves. And I actually I use hypnosis. I use it very differently from other hypnotherapists, but I actually delete dialogue that's unwanted, that's unhelpful. So I was able to delete that kind of dialogue from my, automated dialogue that I have all the time.
Yeah. And, I love what you said there as well, because it does start with awareness, but we're so blind to what we say so much. Because like you say, the programming, and they're just kind of running, that they're there for so long often that we don't even see them, or we don't think they hold power. They're like, oh, just that old pesky little thought. But it's like, no, there's no such thing as a pesky little thought. And, once you start on that journey, you're like, oh, wow, they do hold power. And, or is there anything that you can share? Or can you explain a little bit more on that delete method as well? Or something else?
Before I do, you just triggered something in my mind. So cool. every thought we have, the whole point of thoughts is to release hormones into our nervous system. So if you need to make a sandwich, you need a certain amount of hormones running around a certain cocktail of hormones running around your body to enable you to go make a sandwich. If you need to get out of a burning building, you need a certain amount of cocktail of hormones, including a massive influx of adrenaline to do that. Everything we do, we must release hormones to enable us to do it. Most people think that our behaviors are habitual. They are not. Our thoughts are habitual, and they create our behaviors. So if you change the thoughts, you have a different chemical release, and you feel differently, and then you respond, react, and behave differently.
Yeah, that's so powerful. And I know when that kind of really clicked for me as well, it was like this whole perception shift of, oh, so I just changed my thought, as opposed to trying to change everything outside. First and foremost, I have to fundamentally change how I'm thinking about the situation or me or whatever it is, to experience something different. And, because like that, every thought, like you're saying, it does affect our biochemistry, and it causes us to act in different ways. And it's so powerful. And I know for me, it was kind of hard to get my head around as well, because it's like, really, it's that easy, even though it's not so easy, because like you say, that reprogramming takes time. It's not just enough to think a new thought once. So then are there tips that you can share with people as well? Or how does your delete method work that you mentioned?
So basically, the delete method is a pattern interrupt. So if you imagine the negative, so for instance, with anxiety, if somebody thinks about, say, like a driving anxiety, that as soon as they get in the car, as soon as they hit the highway or the motorway, instantly they get that, oh my God, this is, I feel trapped. I feel panicky. They usually have, oh my God, what ifs and can't kind of thoughts. What if I crash? What if this happens? What if I panic? I can't go on this road. Those kind of thoughts prevent us from doing things and release massive adrenaline into our nervous system. So the delete method is very, very simple. And the best things are, as you start to go into that, oh my God, or that what if, you say delete. It's a pattern interrupt. As soon as you hear that, oh, delete, then you redirect those thoughts. So instead of thinking, oh my God, I'm going to go on the motorway, I'm going to have a panic attack, as soon as you hear that, oh my God, you say delete. And then you say, I am calm. I am in control. I'm enjoying listening to my music. You do something else with those thoughts. But when you install the delete method under hypnosis, it kind of happens automatically. So you don't have to think about it. It just, everybody that does the session then says, for the first week, all they hear in their head is me saying delete every time they go to say something negative.
Love it. That is epic and, so powerful. And even just talk about hypnosis for a moment and how subliminal and suggestive things are, but also I know we can go to a session, but also, kind of waking up and go to sleep at night. Aren't we in a similar kind of state? And that's why it's so important what we do first thing in the morning and last thing as we fall asleep. Just even talking about how suggestible the subconscious is.
Yeah. So as a hypnotherapist or a hypnotist, it's my job to get you to a theta state. And a theta state is something that you go in and out of naturally. So like you say, first thing on a morning and the last thing at night, you definitely go through theta state. And theta state, you are very suggestible when you go through theta state. So if you're wanting to program your mind, the best time is first thing on the morning and last thing at night. And that's why a lot of gurus recommend affirmations or positive incantations, anything like that, or gratitude, anything to get the mind positive, so that all those negative thoughts don't creep in. But you also go through theta state multiple times a day. If you're watching a movie, I don't know, for readers, I get lost in a book and my kids could walk in and say they wanted to paint a house black, purple, whatever. And I'm just like, yep, okay. It's like, and then they'll be like, do you remember I came in and asked you? It's like, I have no recollection because I was in a trance. I was in theta state.
That's so important with just even knowing that we are in these very suggestible trance-like states and being aware and knowing how to support ourselves if we want to make change during those times as well.
But yeah, I think you're right. Monitoring your thoughts consistently is vital. And that's the major thing. When I think about doing something now, I am very aware of the thoughts it brings up and the feelings it brings up for me. And then I'll look at those thoughts and feelings if they're not helpful.
Yeah. And that's it, kind of over and over again and over and over again. Find our flow, but it's over and over again. Because like you mentioned earlier, there's levels and levels and you keep up leveling.
It was so funny. I went on a course in Las Vegas and I sat next to somebody who I saw as way, way ahead of me. And at the time, he was like super rich and he's a well-known figure. And I remember him at that time saying that he was putting his house, he was remortgaging his house to move up to the next level to in his business. And I thought, wow, I thought when I get to this next level that it'd be an easy ride. Yeah. I just imagined one level. And it's not. It's every level brings new challenge. And every level requires a different way of thinking, a different way of behaving. It's a new kind of learning process.
Yeah. It absolutely is. And like you say, the start of that journey is the thoughts always, because that's kind of has the knock-on effect on everything else. And, that's why many texts and everything talk about how it's our thought, it's our mind that's holding the consciousness of our reality in existence. So that's why if we want to see something different, we have to start there with or thoughts, and it repeats and repeats, but it becomes, well, for me, it becomes really interesting and cool. It's like, wow, this is really empowering. I actually have so much power over my reality that I never realized, that nobody ever told me about. And I can literally create and change anything I want. But it always starts with that inner work first and removing those beliefs. When it comes to that journey as well, how important do you think it is that people need to go back and kind of rehash the past over and over again? Or where is the line of deciding kind of this is it and I'm moving forward, or I need to go back and look at something here?
I think it's the reason why. I mean, coming from a counselling, psychotherapy and psychology background, you only ever work on something for 6 weeks. 6 sessions is what is recommended to work on a specific subject. If you are, firstly, no therapy should work for longer than that, because they're being, is unethical. But the reason being, it can be damaging. So therapy is great, but it can also be a point where it's damaging. If you're just dwelling on the same thing over and over again, you're reliving it, you're re-releasing all the hormones of that trauma or whatever it is that you're talking through over and over again. And that is no good. So I think when I work with people, I'm not a counselor anymore. Too expensive to be a counselor. So I make changes with people. Yeah. But I always prefer it if they've been to a counselor first, if they've talked through the issue, if there is an issue. And then we're like, right, now let's kick some mud over that and move on. Because you have to move forward with, your thinking.
Yeah. I agree as well. Like, there has to come a point where you decide, because, I know some people as well, friends of mine that really enjoy this work, that are on an inner journey as well, but keep telling themselves, no, I have to do this first. Oh, this come up, so I have to go back and do this again and do this again, and keep going back and back and back. And I'm like, no, you've done it a million times. It's now time to move forward. Yeah. But it can be a place where you get stuck again. But again, I think it comes down to, again, our own thinking and the fear we have about moving forward. Like they say, it's a spiral, not a direct line.
Yeah. And it is, sometimes you do need to revisit something. Yeah. If you experience something as a child and a trauma as a child, then you might have had therapy about it in your teens or as a child, but then as an adult, you might be responding to certain triggers in a certain way that you need to revisit it. But if you keep revisiting it, it's no good. I'm a great believer in balance. Too much of a good thing is just as bad for you as something bad. So you don't just keep going to therapy. And I think sometimes we're in danger, because therapy is very important now. Everybody just thinks, oh, I'll go to therapy about everything. There's a danger of having too much therapy. Yeah, definitely.
But it just comes like another kind of codependent thing, you say, whether it's even exercise or if anything becomes an extreme, it's not supportive to us. And I think the more that we're on the journey, it becomes more intuitive of, oh God, I've done this already before. I've re-looked at this enough. I'm deciding to move forward. And again, that's our power, and we can work with someone on that or find our own flow as well. And just even touching on the power of affirmations and how much they can support us throughout, or even currently in our life, even if we've never done anything beforehand as well. The power of affirmations in supporting some or changing some of the current limiting thinking we have.
Absolutely. Your self-image is basically the result of your self-talk. And people say, oh, I don't use affirmations. Every time you speak, it is an affirmation. I am hungry. I am tired. I am miserable. Everything we say, everything that comes out of our mouth is an affirmation. So everything you say should be monitored. And especially when it's I am. The I am statement is very, very powerful. So what I say to people is confirmation bias in psychology. For those that don't know, our brain looks for evidence of something. So if I say that man's really nasty, you would look for evidence of the man being nasty. If I say the man's really generous and happy and lovely, you will look for evidence of, and we always find some kind of evidence to back that up. So if you're constantly saying, oh, I'm always ill, I'm always miserable, I can never find love, I can only do, if you're saying things like that, your brain is looking for more and more evidence of that. Whereas if you say, I am calm, I am confident, I am in control, I am, whatever you want to say, money is flowing to me on a consistent basis, you start looking for evidence of that and you will find it. And it's affirmations as well you have to be very, very careful. Your brain's like Google. So if you type into Google, I don't want to see red shoes, you're going to see red shoes. So you can't say, I see these affirmations on these apps that are like, I am free from fear. Well, your brain's just going to look for fear because you're saying fear. It's like you need to say everything in the positive. So affirmations is not just, people say, oh, right, I'm just going to say some affirmations. The affirmations you choose, you need to be very careful because they can have an adverse effect if you use them wrongly.
Yeah. You're looking for the exact thing that you want to try avoid.
Yeah. I don't want any more debt. It's your brain looks out for debt.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a bit like, I always remember I had a money issue. I was well qualified. I was the same person as I am now. I just had some kind of money issue that I had this belief that whenever I earned money instantly just went out. So if I got if I won £1,000 or got £1,000 somewhere, straight away the car would break and it would cost £1,000. That was my belief. I had evidence of that belief. That's how the world worked. So it was literally like money just slid right off my plate. So I wanted to challenge it, but I couldn't just go on to go, I am a millionaire, because we have a reticular activated system at the bottom of our brain, and it would just reject that as false. I have to choose something that my brain will accept. So I then changed my affirmation to money is fluid. It comes in and it goes out. And then I was able to change it to, as soon as I spend money, money comes in to replace it. Because isn't that true? Don't we always get more money? Yeah. So I then just added in increasing quantities. So before I knew it, it was like, as soon as I spend money, money comes in to replace it in increasing quantities. And I could not spend money fast enough when I got onto that vibe. I really couldn't. It was like my whole world changed. I went from being like earning 20 grand a year to earning 250 grand a year in that year that I got that affirmation right and started to believe it.
And this is it, life is reflecting us. Life is conforming to us all the time, not the other way around. And that's why we do hold all the power as well and can change anything, no matter how your whole family has been, how the generation has been, whatever. You can change it, but that's the work. It takes you stepping up. It takes you moving through the uncomfortableness or deciding something different and literally reprogramming yourself. And I love what you said there as well about the confirmation bias. And again, it reminds me of how important it is to know ourselves and to know our truth and to know what aligns for us, because allowing someone else to influence us, to look for like just that example of like the bad in someone and then we see it, that's not very supportive to ourselves if we're so impressionable from other people's opinions and things like that. And I suppose that comes down to the I ams, the inner works, the changing.
Yeah, that comes down to self-esteem. It's I always say to my clients, when people have low self-esteem, they always look to others for confirmation, for approval or of something. And it's like you go shopping with your other half, you go into the changing room, you try an outfit on and you think this looks okay, so you go out and show them. If it didn't look okay, you wouldn't come out of the bloody changing room. You're just like, oh, next, just put the other one on. And you'll show them 3 outfits out of 5. And they'll be like, what happened to the other 2? Well, I didn't show you them because I knew I looked bad. So why do you need to go out and show them in the first place? You need to self-validate. You need to say, do you know what? I look good in this. Yeah. Not saying I look like a supermodel, but for me, I look good in this. Yeah. You don't need that external validation. conversation all the time. And that to me is the biggest key to building your own self-image, is not asking other people's opinions. Just validate yourself consistently.
Yeah, I agree, because it doesn't work anyway. Because even if someone told you, oh my God, that's beautiful, it's amazing, half the time we can't receive it anyway because we don't believe it.
Yeah. That is the other thing, is everybody with self-esteem tends to say sorry all the time. Sorry, I'm late. Oh, sorry. They just sorry all the time.
Yeah.
And they will accept other people putting them down, but they don't accept compliments. So you'll say to someone, oh, that jumper's nice. And you're like, oh, this old thing, I only got it from there. Or, oh, your hair looks nice. Oh, I haven't even washed it today.
Yeah.
Or something like that. You reject everything positive. But as soon as somebody says something negative, you soak it up like, a dry sponge.
Yeah, and it's like that saying as well, the only opinion that really matters is our opinion of ourselves. And that's, again, that inner work piece been talking on for the whole conversation, because it's so important that we get that message. And, I got that message, I did the work, you're doing it. There's many, many others. Like we don't have to live as victims of ourselves. Yes, bad things happen. Yes, there's challenges. Yes, everyone goes through things, but we still have a choice in how we want to feel and how we want to live our life and how we want to think and what we want to believe about ourselves, no matter what. And that's the real empowering piece. And this conversation as well, hopefully people have picked up some nuggets as well, I'm sure, from it. And we can't leave the conversation as well without asking, from your journey as well and taking that first job, how did you end up as well on Britain's Got Talent and Hypnodog?
So I decided I was going to be a stage hypnotist, did the internal work required and learnt the show. And I rung around the university circuit, and they'd seen the show before. My friend did the show before, the Hypnodog show. So I just rang around the university circuit and said, the show's back on the road, slightly different dog, and that's it. And so straight away, I got 6 bookings at the university circuit for Freshers Week, and I had $8,000 in the bank. So like any shrewd businesswoman, I took my kids on holiday to Australia for a month to see my brother, to practice the show. But while I was there, I contacted some press and let them know about the show. And a lady from a press office rang me and wanted to come and film the show, because obviously not many people had heard of the Hypnodog. So my first show was filmed for the press. My second show was filmed for German TV. And then BGT got in touch. Wow. And I just thought, I can't, I wasn't even a professional, I didn't feel at this point.
That's amazing.
But they were insistent, and they were offering me, big dressing rooms and all sorts. And in the end, I decided to go for it. I thought, well, this is either going to kill me or cure me. But as it was a career that I wasn't so bothered about, stage hypnosis, I just thought, well, let's do it. If it goes disastrously wrong, I'll hide out for a couple of months till it blows over. And it went really well, to my surprise. So that was, and since then I've done 50 TV shows all over the world.
Wow. Amazing. I love
but the dog's retired now. So I haven't, but she has.
I love that. And what you just said there as well, when you didn't care so much, when we don't have that over attachment or expectation to how we want something to go, like that, it can often explode and go, wow, this is amazing. That is epic. And how does Hypnodog work? Or is that giving away secrets?
No, I've given away the secret before now.
Well, basically, she's retired.
It's covert hypnosis. So people always say it isn't real. In a way, it is real. They are hypnotized. They are falling on the floor as soon as they look at the dog. The dog doesn't have any special powers. I basically have to make sure that the people are suggestible. So like you were saying, some people are like sponges. I'm one of them. And I have to make sure I've got the right people. And then I use covert hypnosis. I just use everyday language, having a chat with them. So side of stage, backstage, before they go on, I would just say certain things to implant suggestion. So instead of saying the dog's going to hypnotize you, I will say, and when you fall in front of the dog, be careful you don't bang your head on my chair.
Yeah.
And that goes in the back door, so to speak, because I'm not giving the suggestion that they're going to fall.
Yeah.
They think I'm giving them a safety suggestion, but the other suggestion, it's kind of presupposed that they are going to fall. And that just goes to show how powerful commands, our language are. You know, I'm not giving them a command under any state other than a normal waking state.
Wow.
So, you know, hypnosis is just affirmations, really. And covert hypnosis especially. It's just carefully crafted suggestions.
Wow. That's powerful. And before you even mentioned it, I was like, whoa, how scary is that? I mean, not that you're using it for ill intent, but there are people who do.
Oh,
who,
yeah.
once they know that
100%.
power. Like
people have been robbed, molested, all sorts under hypnosis. It's very real, and it can be very strong with the right people and the right hypnotist or hypnotherapist. But like any tool, it can, you know, a scalpel can be used to save someone's life or take someone's life. A hammer can be used to build a home or destroy a home.
Absolutely.
So it's how you use the tool.
Absolutely.
But there's with the Hypnodog thing, there's other things involved, like the position I put them in when they're kneeling. I put them in a position where it makes them feel wobbly.
Yeah.
I make them focus on the dog's eyes. You know, the way the lighting's set up, when it hits the dog's eyes and the dog's pupils dilate, it looks like there's lights in the dog's eyes. All this, as they're knelt there wobbling and, you know, they think they're in front of this dog that can hypnotize them, things start to happen in your brain. All I need is that 1% of doubt, that tiny bit of doubt, and I've got you.
Yeah.
And the people that are saying it wouldn't work on me, my mind's really strong, they are the perfect ones. The doubters are always the first ones to go.
Wow. Yeah, it's so interesting. And I totally agree, you know, like you say, the scalpel, the hammer, and that's why it comes back to us again. And it comes down to our own compassion, our love, our connection to ourselves that we radiate to the world or not. Again, all that inner work. And that's so fascinating and interesting. And one last thing I'm curious about, how do you know suggestible people? Which ones are more suggestible?
So it's not something you can really tell, but people that are affected by the news, by, you know, if you watch a movie and you get upset about the dog dying, even though logically you know that the dog didn't die, it was just a movie, you're suggestible. Everybody's suggestible, but some people are super suggestible. And if you feel like, you know, emotional just talking about a subject, that shows me that you've got a creative imagination, so you can be really easily hypnotized and get great results.
So interesting. Amazing. What a fascinating conversation. Thank you so much for joining and sharing. And please, if there's anything that you feel left that you want to share, please do. But please also share where people can find out more on your work.
So, yeah, just to reiterate, your thoughts are the most important thing. I think we got that over, but yeah, monitor your thoughts very, very carefully. And, you know, you sort of consume content all the time, whether it be media or anything else. So be very careful what kind of content you're consuming. But yeah, you can find me on most social media platforms. If you Google Hypnodog or Krystyna Lennon, Krystyna's Krystyna, Krystyna Lennon, you can find me on any social media platform.
Amazing. Thank you so much again. And yes, as always, I will share links as well from the show notes on my website and have everything there as well. So Krystyna, what a pleasure.
Fabulous.
And what a really, really important message as well to leave with. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening. And before you go, I would love to ask you a massive favor. If you enjoyed this episode or any episode of the podcast, I would love for you to leave a short review on Apple Podcasts to help it grow. If you could do that, I would greatly appreciate it.